Hey, gang, it's Wednesday. Time for translating Trump. Phillips backstage, and I just got to do one more thing. There we go. 844 gay LGBT 1-888 Yergs, or now we're using Google Voice if that helps you. 813-358-3836. And yes, that is the overlay for today. What's the name? Eric Musk or Elon Cartman, something like that. For those of you not watching via video, I had a little fun with Elon Musk's sunglasses from the other day. So, last night, it was not an official State of the Union. So, when you see that on the ticker across the bottom, that's why it's in quotes, because it was something he did on his own, obviously in conjunction with the Speaker and the Vice President, the heads of the House and Senate, respectively. But when they're his bitch in the first place, what are they going to do? Say no? So today, we're going to spend the show essentially 2 hours talking about last night, but doing it from wherever possible. A balanced approach, as always. And with the first hour, our regular Wednesday co host, Philip Blackett, our resident Trump translator, who can hopefully help us make some sense of the long list of fibs, according to even Fox News.
Oh my
That we're talking.
gosh. Are we like the True Squad here? Are we like the fact checkers?
Yeah, that's kind of
is that what our job is now?
well, when you got a lying POS like Donald Trump, I think it's kind of necessary, don't you?
Listen, if you disagree with the person that's talking, I mean, you can definitely show your disagreement while still showing decorum, which clearly one person in particular was devoid of last night.
And let me jump in. I'll let
At
you
least,
and
at least one person.
more, but I believe that was equally as staged as the arrest that you see is at a demo at the White House or on the steps of the Capitol or anywhere else in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Little known fact: the organizers of any demo to get the permit to demonstrate have to meet with the relevant, in one big meeting, have to meet with the relevant law enforcement agencies, and that's coordinated by the Park Police. So if it's at the White House, Secret Service, Uniform Division, and one of the entities from headquarters. I don't know if it's Protective Intelligence or somebody else from the director's office. I don't know because I've never been a part of that. But if it's at the White House, Secret Service is involved. Also involved in Metropolitan Police Department, because I don't know if I've said this before, but Secret Service has the lawn and up to the fence. The Park Police have the sidewalk. The Metropolitan Police Department have the actual Pennsylvania Avenue. And then on the other sidewalk on Lafayette Park and through Lafayette Park, it goes back to the Park Police. There's 3 law enforcement agencies for one street. And then, obviously, that changes at the Capitol from Secret Service to Capitol Police. Telling you all that because when you see somebody sitting and not leaving when given a lawful order to disperse, we know who those people are because those names have been given to us the day before or within days leading up to the demo in that meeting. And then they're arrested, they're processed, and so on. It's all staged. It's like I said, we knew those people were going to sit there and not leave upon given that lawful order to disperse. Point being, he was already standing last night. And for those who think I'm Blake and Matt and company, who think I'm the farthest left on the team, this is my critique of the left. And to be fair and balanced, I didn't upload the picture. I sent it to somebody else in some Facebook fight this morning. Some MAGA guy was in a conversation of a former coworker of mine, and he posts this photo of this one woman in a pink blouse and sport coat, pantsuit coat,
Yep.
and I don't remember her name, but she's the quite progressive and liberal member of Congress with the purple hair, the
Oh,
blue purple hair.
yeah, I don't know that
Um,
one.
very well spoken, very intelligent, just very purple. And it was some sort of snide remark about their dress and being libtards and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Until I posted the photo of Marjorie Taylor Greene dressed in all fluffy white, standing up and shouting, giving the thumbs down.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, at least these two, maybe they're all poorly dressed, but at least these two know how to behave.
Mm-hmm.
Crickets. And I'm right. And I agree. The behavior of Bobo and MTG in Biden's speech is not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, some certain speaker didn't have them removed. And then Al Green, it's Al Green, right?
Mm-hmm.
Al Green. Yeah, I keep thinking of the singer.
I keep thinking it too. When they said it, I did like a double take. I was like, I thought he's no longer here with us. What's going on?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But I mean, he was already standing there.
Mm-hmm.
He was already bitching. Yeah, I mean, it's a let the camera get on you, and let somebody turn a mic on, so we can at least get that drama. And it was like the other thing about it was I don't think Mike Johnson's a good actor either. When he came back with the the order will be restored and blah blah blah, proper decorum, blah blah blah.
Like my whole thing with that, Ross, was to your point about the stage part. It did seem like it was pretty quick for him to read
Correct.
what was the decorum rule, and that's which made me think. Honestly, I was like, did he know something was going to happen in advance? And
100%.
to your point, could it have been staged? And the point is like, this is what's going to happen. Because clearly when he ushered Al Green away, he didn't put much of a fight.
No.
So it didn't seem like the spontaneity, the emotion, that wasn't there. It was just almost like, nope, I'm going to be on camera. I'm going to do this. They're going to walk me out and I'm out of here. I go out about my day.
He was making a point. My opinion, he was making a point. He knew that was going to happen, and yeah, and, I'm not saying it was bad to do. I think my opinion on both of those issues. I'm going to take that logo watermark down. So there we go. But as soon as I find it, give me a second.
I'm about to say, are we trying to figure out, are we on in Sydney right now or something?
You don't know? Right. That's right. Yep. So I forgot to do it because I got to rambling as I always do. I now use this website. This thing's awesome. I love this thing.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
It's called World Time Buddy, and I use it because our show is not only on in London, although we're not there today. Sadly, we're only Tuesday and Friday, but we're also now on in Sydney, and actually the station is based out of Perth, Australia, and that's Radio X, an internet station that we found and are working with, radiox.com.au.
Mm-hmm.
Classic rock station during the day, and of course it's nighttime there now, so we're on the nighttime shift. We're the overnight, like what was that movie, Talk Radio, where he's like sitting there smoking the cigarette and giving his view on the world. So yes, it is 3:11 a.m. in Sydney and Melbourne, 12:12 a.m. in Perth, which is where Radio X is headquartered out of, 17:12 in Berlin, Germany, 4:12 p.m. in London, 11:12 here in Tampa, and 812 out at KSHP in Las Vegas. And I brought this up now because as soon as I find it, there we go. There we go. It was, there's now a resolution uh, to punish Al Green as it's circulating the House um, for last night's conduct. I, do you remember back when a resolution like something like this actually meant something?
Mm-hmm.
You know, now it's like, okay, well, we have a majority and we don't like this guy on the other side. So we're going to, put together a resolution like they did to Adam Schiff and, scold him and spank him,
Does
which is
this actually
totally
hold
nothing.
water at all?
But that's my point. It shows that you are not doing anything intelligent or worthwhile, like spending your time fighting about 10 male to female trans athletes in the NCAA,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to fighting to bring down the price of groceries by not sending stupid tariffs out that are going to raise the price of groceries.
Mm-hmm.
We've got better things to do. There's bigger fish to fry.
Unless you get your groceries from American-owned and produced
Sure.
places.
Problem with that is all that maple syrup you just put on your pancakes today comes from
Canada.
that you're using to heat your house. In many cases, especially up north, comes from Canada.
Now, would that be interesting though, Ross, if it did? Trying to look at this, potentially half glass full.
Go ahead.
Do you think it could be a good thing if, with all this tariff stuff, if it did have a subtle shift for a number of Americans to say, you know what, I wasn't really thinking about doing something that was more locally owned, American based, and that sort, but because by necessity, as far as my checkbook dictates what I do for groceries, and I got to feed my family and myself, could there be a good point that we may see a shift of people supporting more local small businesses, local made in America type of companies? If for nothing else, it just saves you on the receipt. It just saves you on the payments.
I just my dad is here, as is my mom.
Oh, was that the guy in the background? I didn't know if it was
Yeah,
somebody helping with
yeah.
construction because I heard some
No,
noises.
it's exactly what he's doing. Yeah. I said, hey, I'm going live. Take your arguing somewhere else.
Is he walking
And
around putting bunny ears on you or something like that? Yes.
no, he's I don't know what he's doing over there, but where the refrigerator will eventually be, he spent much of the time fixing some of the electrical issues that was caused not only by the poor construction from the original owner, but also from Hurricane Helene.
Mm-hmm.
And we found a bunch of different problems that we fixed and what he fixed. And we're back to 100% electricity now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why he's over there, because he's with a cordless drill. and
Dad, get away from there.
Like, I remember.
Get away from the outlet, damn it.
Oh, no, he knows what he's doing that way. But just like, remember 2 minutes ago when I said I was going live? Neil Thompson says Elon paid Al Green to do that. I'm quite interested in a source for that. That's interesting.
I would ask for a source too, right?
Neil, are you being sarcastic or and that's fine, because we're kind of sarcasm.
That's kind of what we do here sometimes. Yeah.
That's known to happen. Congressional salaries aren't what they used to be. Well, I'll tell you what they are. They're more than what I was making.
Right, because of inflation.
And I was making my best years were in DC when I was getting a lot of overtime. I was probably grossing about 160,000 a year, and that's not 40 hours a week. That's 50 hours a week mandatory plus extra, what's called scheduled overtime. And I still wasn't making what a freshman congressman was making.
Plus, in DC area.
Yeah.
So 160,000 in DC can only go so far versus 160 in like Montgomery, Alabama.
Tampa. Yeah, exactly.
Jackson, Mississippi.
Yep, exactly. So
high roller down in those places.
clarifying all jokes. Al's behavior was disappointing. Just for ammo for the GOP. Yeah, well, we're going to address that. Superfan Ken is with us today. Good morning, Ken. And he's asking, remind me, was Bobo and Green punished when they were tackled?
Who's Bobo? Who's Bobo again?
Lauren Boebert.
Oh, why y'all call her Bobo?
Bobo, I don't know where that came from. I picked up on it when I heard it.
I just know it as the infamous
The
movie.
moviegoer. What was it? Beetlejuice. What the hell musical is Beetlejuice?
That got my attention though. I said, hold up, hold on a second, hold on. Are we doing the whole empty popcorn box trick?
Yeah, yeah.
What you reaching there for, popcorn or a hot dog? Which one are you doing?
And wasn't he a minister?
Oh, I mean, God.
What for minister performance and performs like that?
Like, was the movie just that bad? I don't know. Like,
it was a play. It was a musical.
It was a play. Oh gosh.
They were seeing them. I don't know why I remember this, but they were seeing,
because it's so weird.
Like, oh yeah, 100%.
Like, it's a play. Do you not think anybody, any other parents, any other kids would notice a bunch of movement all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Maybe some sort of emotional gestures on just the novelty of what's going on.
Yeah, that's that was interesting. It was the musical Beetlejuice. I didn't even know that was a musical. The only song I remember it is when Livia, Winona Ryder, at the end, sings that song. Yeah, and she's dancing and she's elevating up the wall and she's like 10 feet off the floor.
Yep.
But that's the only song I remember. I don't know what else you're gonna sing about in Beetlejuice.
No, Beetlejuice gave me nightmares when I was a kid. I don't mess with it. Even the new version, I don't watch it now.
No, yeah, did you see the sequel? You didn't see the sequel? No.
Mm-mm. What else happened, Michael Keaton? What else?
Yeah. Don't forget, after our 2 hours today, check in with the property next door is going for sale. There's the truck. The light hit me from the left is from an open window. And over the weekend and through the week, I think the owner of the property stopped by. It's an empty lot. And I think the owner of the property stopped by. And then yesterday I look out right before I'm about to go live. And I see this car parked in front of my mailbox. This is a 3/4 of a mile long dead end street. There's plenty of other spots on that street for you to safely park. And in this case, not be in her camera shot. Well, the lady parked, it wasn't the owner, it was some photographer with a drone. And she gets out, she's setting her drone up, she's going to get an aerial photo of this lot. About 3 weeks ago when I was sick, before you got it, how you feeling, by the way? You feeling better? You sounding better.
I sound a lot better. It's just the point where it's lingering, where it's like, Ross, you can't have me laughing too hard because then I'll start coughing.
Yeah, I was the same.
That's why I was like, oh gosh, I forgot. I do have a good time here, so you might have me coughing after a while. So I was just like, I'll just be careful. That's all.
Yep.
But outside of that, I'm fine.
Yeah, I was tired for a while too. Yeah, I was very fatigued fast. But so the first time, a couple of weeks ago, somebody parked in front of my mailbox. I was actually receiving antibiotics from Walmart. And I sat here and watched the mail truck drive right by. This lady parks there. Now, get this. I go out there. She speaks very little English.
Of course.
But we managed. And I offered for her to park into, I've got 2 driveways, one that goes right to my garage and the other one that goes to the side of the house where my jet ski trailer is sitting. I offered her to park in front of the jet ski trailer, which borders this empty lot. She said no, she doesn't want her car in the shot. Meanwhile, there's a pile of garbage that I assembled the other day. that this lady was supposed to have removed, sitting alongside of a 35-foot long boat trailer that nobody knows whose trailer this is. That's smack dab in the middle of the lot. The trailer's okay, but your little car causes a problem.
Yep.
So I just kind of rolled my eyes. My neighbor across the street, who was already trying to talk to her earlier, probably telling her the same thing, throw his hands up like, yeah, hey, I tried. And she parked. I told her the house across the street is empty. There's nobody there. Park in that driveway. I know the guy. If we need to, I'll call him and tell him you're going to be there.
Yep.
And she said, well, it's only going to be 15 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, I heard that before. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you immediately started shaking your head no. But anyway, so now I saw that truck drive by, and it's got those. It's a pickup truck. The guys that put these signs up usually use a pickup truck because they've got the pole that they dig the hole for on the curb side of the property, and the realtor sign hangs from that pole. And they got like 6 or 8 of these poles, hanging out the back of their pickup truck. So that's going to get inserted. It was pouring up until a couple minutes ago. But anyway, all that, we're here for 2 hours. You're here for 1.
I could be here potentially for 2. I was just thinking about it.
Okay.
Special occasion, recapping Trump's pseudo State of the Union. Which, by the way, I don't think he's the only person that's done that. Where it's just like you come into office in January, and then you do something either February or March to address the Congress at that point.
I think. For that, I think W has done specials already.
Because I would think, didn't Biden do one also? Like he got it in the office. It was around COVID, but then like a month or 2 afterwards, didn't he do it in an address as well?
Well, maybe so. There's no State of the Union at the inauguration. In lieu, there's a inaugural address by the incoming or reelected president. So this, again, even though it's exactly what happens, there wasn't an official State of the Union address. That being said, we've also got the Democratic rebuttal, which I watched. I didn't get to watch it last night. I watched it this morning, and very well put together.
So I'm curious in your thoughts here too, because I definitely was in the mindset of, in 2025, Ross, like, does that even make sense for us to do anymore? Like the rebuttal afterwards? Because by that point, it's like late. You're on the tail end. Everyone's wanting to watch the president and what happens. Like, is that even worthwhile? Can't you just do like an editorial for tomorrow morning, something like that? Like either party,
It's a good. It's a fair argument, and it's something for either side to consider. Yeah, that's tough because when do you do it? And then also there's the issue of or the benefit really of social media, in that if you don't necessarily concentrate on the network time immediately after, so much as that the speaker is wrapping up, and when I say speaker, I mean either side's president,
right?
You can immediately release, because this is already written. The rebuttal's already written. It's not like they're sitting there ad-libbing this.
Yeah.
You can already, I wouldn't release it too early.
Right.
Because both sides are clearly known for engaging in their own political stunts, providing one speech and then delivering another as a possibility. I'm not saying they've done that, but I'm saying, you need to be safe. But as a speech has been given, and we know, okay, that was the one they gave us, because that's the other thing, by the way, when you see the president hand a copy of the speech to the speaker and a copy to the vice president, they've had that speech for hours.
Yeah.
Everybody.
It's like a formality. I get it.
Yeah.
Unless you're like the speaker that likes to tear up the speeches right after.
Yeah. That's, yeah. That's always
that's not expected nor respectful.
well,
But
that was. I think that one was ad libbed, or at
oh,
least
hey, Mr. President, by the way,
yeah,
you
exactly.
won't
At
you
least
won't
she
see
knew.
this,
No,
but
no,
right behind me,
no.
I'm gonna go ahead and just
Yeah.
get my moment.
At least she knew that she was going to rip it up. But anyway, Sports Cat's in the house. When we're finished today, he now follows us still on Yerg's Radio, but also on two other stations that we're also on: Radio X in Australia, as well as I got to look at my keyboard to do this. WZQR. I got to look at the keys, which is here in Florida, down in Pineland. Uh, they carry his shows there as well. So Sportcat has Sportcat's Daily Gazette. It's an hour or hour and a half long news show that follows us here as part of, well, we're the Mastiff Media Network. He's got Nightlight Studios, and he's on other stations that we're not on. So
Got
we're
the
both in
Mastiff,
syndication, and
Sport Cat. They're able to work well together. One doesn't chase the other. Well, one does chase after, I guess, time wise, but you guys commingle well.
yeah. So is this the same? Oh, this is another one. Stock markets are crashing. Inflation is rising. Tariffs are increasing car prices by 10 to 20%. And our nation's first felon president is ruining the last century of relations for our allies. Yeah.
Thank you,
now,
T.
yeah. I mean, when last Friday's blow up, I just hope Zelensky stays strong. Last Friday's blow up, he calls Macron from France.
Mm-hmm.
Gets on a plane, cancels the rest of his schedule here in the U.S., gets on a plane and goes to the U.K., where he is welcomed with open arms
Mm-hmm.
by the U.K. And the U.K. Prime Minister made it very clear that they're going to stand with Ukraine. And then the entire European Union, in as much, said pretty much the same thing. Now Trump is saying, well, you're not going to get the aid, the financial aid and military aid that we promised. The Supreme Court just today said that's not no bueno. Said yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
That he doesn't have the right to withhold that at this point in the arrangement. And so, but again, this is what I think is so disgusting about this administration. And we'll get to the speech right after this.
Don't forget the break too, Ross.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to be your reminder from before where it's that annoying like.
Oh, you know what? I turned those off. I watched them, and I just watch for it. But this is something you and I disagree on plenty about this administration. But I'll be shocked to hear that you disagree on this when they Andrew Jackson some certain things. Down in Georgia, when there was, I forget which one, but one of the Indian reservations, they were being forced off their lands.
Mm-hmm.
And the Supreme Court ruled that was unconstitutional. They couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew Jackson's response was, he said the Chief Justice, I forget who it was, but he said the Chief Justice has made his decision. Now let him enforce it. Mm-hmm. And he just blatantly disregarded the Supreme Court's decision and forced him out anyway.
No bueno.
J.D. Vance has said the same thing. I doubt highly that you think that is okay.
So I see the parallel, right? I'm not all the way up to speed on what's going on here, so definitely give me some grace coming up to speed on this. So it sounds like Supreme Court.
This was a statement made even as far back as the campaign.
Oh, as far as like, just standing in the way of Ukraine aid.
If we don't agree with Supreme Court decisions, we're going to ignore them.
Yeah, that's not the right precedent you want to establish because,
agreed.
Once again, regardless of party affiliation, if you do it, then of course it gives the other party the room to do the same thing too. And right is right, wrong is wrong, regardless of the person doing it.
Yeah, as we're seeing with unusual and unprecedented presidential pardons. Biden started that off, and now we've seen some head scratchers from the Trump administration as well.
I think the key word in all this is going to be the word of the day, Ross, is going to be reciprocal. This show is brought to you by the word reciprocal. You do it, Biden, we'll do it too. You
Yeah.
do it left, we'll do it too, right? You do it,
Well,
Canada,
I mean,
we'll do it as well,
plenty.
US.
Yeah, there's plenty that, not to sound like a 5-year-old, but there's plenty that Trump started. Um, uh, and what's Standing Bear? Standing Bear. Wow. Speaking of Florida and Georgia and reservations, that's a cool name. Translating, you mean giving. There's no e in giving. So I'm grammar police. It's just I don't know why, but anyway, you mean giving the meaning you want, kind of like lying. Yeah, well, that's definitely a thing.
But is that an automatic disqualification because he's said given wrong to you, Ross?
No, no. Um, um, Ken earlier this week on Monday, Jane Stahl was my co-host, and he said, "Good morning, Jane," and that was it. There was no comma after "Good morning," and I even pointed that out. That was, I think, that was actually last week, and then this week he corrected it, and Jane caught that, and she said, "Hey, he's got his comma this week," and I'm like, all right, Ken's paying attention. Off political subject for a moment. It's been months now, Philip. Have you tried Jersey Mike's?
No, I haven't. When I go
Oh,
eat, it's still to the Subway date with my wife. But the next time you do a pizza challenge, Ross,
all right.
instead of pizza, I'll go for Jersey Mike's to be
Okay.
delivered
Well,
if I
first of
win.
all, when we do that, I got to lose.
That's a
Uh,
good point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
We can do another electoral college predictor, and I can see if I can win that
I don't
one.
want to wait that long. I think we'll come up with something before then. Uh,
Who's the next? We do it like a pick 'em. Who's the next Democrat to get censored?
that's yeah. That's well. I've got the Fox News commentary on last night's address, so we'll get to that when we come back.
And can we also cover like the number of funny moments and the questionable moments from last night's speech from a particular side, not on the right?
Okay, sure.
I love to cover that because there were some comical moments for me and some head scratchers where it's like, really, guys, we're gonna do this? That's not
Uh,
gonna play out well.
well, I think I've got an automatic rebuttal to that, but
Oh, come on.
we'll throw that out.
This one might be. I think I have one moment to your point, Ross. I would be very surprised, using Ross' words, I would be very surprised if Ross disagrees with me on this one moment I'll bring up later on.
I don't know. Matt, when we start, Matt automatically makes me put my headshot, my screen to the left and puts him in the middle. So, so I might have to defend my libtards. All right, everybody, you're listening to or watching Up the Middle. It's the Wednesday edition. It's translating Trump from the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back after this. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum. Rumble. I had some rumbling earlier with a storm before going live today. But part of our being fair and balanced, as Fox News used to say, or just real journalists, of some sort, we do use and provide different viewpoints and different platforms to do it. We at Mastiff Media, in addition to YouTube and all the usuals, are also on Rumble. You can be on Rumble too, and for a discount, if you're a content creator, go to rumble.com/register/Yergs Media. Remember, Yergs Media is how we used to be, how we used to identify before we became Mastiff Media. I wanted to get my name out of it. Yergs Radio was enough. Me being Yergs is enough. So, but it was too late to change Yergs Media to Mastiff Media. So go to rumble.com/register/ rumble.com/register/Yergs Media and sign up today. If you need that as a link, if you missed it, you can go to my Facebook page, Ross Yergs Yerger. We'll get that back up in a minute. And there's an entire list of all the affiliates. Remember, we cleaned house and got rid of some that weren't holding up to their end of the bargain. So not as many are there. Still is. Also, Frontier Internet. And this one's a long one, so you'll have to go to the page to get that. If you're getting new internet, if you've moved, or you're not happy with your current provider, check out Frontier Internet. That's what we use here. We used one of their competitors a little while ago, and it was not working. It was a disaster. Frontier, on the other hand, not so much. We started with something, one of the lesser ones, and then moved up to 1,000 Ks up and down. Now, with everything we're doing, we've bumped it up to 2,000 Ks up and down, and it is amazing. It's awesome. You can go to my Facebook page, find Ross Yergs Yerger. That's my page, not my profile, my page. And all these affiliates, if I can't get you the link you can buy over the air on the screen because it's too long, they're all there. It's a pinned post at the top of the page. Rumble and Frontier Internet. Check out both. Let's bring back Philip back out. Philip Blackett with us every Wednesday for Translating Trump. Harvard grad, published author, and resident Trump supporter. So, what were we going to go with after the? I totally forget that now.
So, well, we talked about the Supreme Court, like going over the Supreme Court precedent there. We talked about Bobo and Beetlejuice and empty popcorn boxes. We then talked about kind of some of the shenanigans that happened last night, whether planned or not, whether it put people in good positions or not going forward. A lot of stuff to talk about from yesterday or last night.
And that Ken's not somebody you want to disappoint.
He's sorry, dude.
Lack of Jersey Mike's research.
Sorry, I will work hard to do better, sir.
Yep, get on that. So, I know what we were going to start with. Fox News, and to be clear, I'm really actually interested.
Fair,
in what you say,
balance, and still unafraid.
Well,
I just borrowed Brett's line.
While we are entertaining here, that is not the intent so much as it is to actually pass information and be some level of news. How long is this? Oh, goodness, no.
It's an hour and a half.
That's the whole thing. I thought it was like a news report.
That'll take us out.
But can we just look at that face? It doesn't. I'm at least
which one? Because you got all three of them.
Yeah, and none of them are something you want to look at for too long.
I told my wife last night I'm already looking forward to the cold open for Saturday Night Live this weekend. I'm sure they're gonna have a field day with this.
Did you see this?
I did.
That is why, regardless of how funny they are or if they're in a slump, do you know how hard it is to be funny every single week for, what are we up to now? 50 years?
50 years. They celebrate 50th anniversary special not too long ago.
If you remember the episode where Hillary Clinton and Amy Poehler were in the same pantsuit and they she learned Hillary's, yeah, that one. Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
laugh like that. Yeah, you do.
Do I laugh that? Well, yeah, okay. Uh, uh, and she loaned Amy her earrings. I want the earrings back, by the way.
Mhm.
I was 10 feet to her left.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was the shift leader that night, and my boss was on the other side of the stage, on stage right. And remember, stage directions are given for the performers. So as you look at it, it's actually to the left. Stage
Mhm.
right, as in the audience, is to your left. So I was at stage left, about 10 feet off the camera shot. And when we got there that night, what they do is they do a dress rehearsal at about 8 p.m. And they do that for two reasons. One, they do it for the FCC to see if any of the jokes that they do need to be pushed to later in the evening because it's too
Mhm.
racy for the kids that still might be up at 11:30 at night.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
and then also they have a live audience in there
Mhm.
for that.
Yep.
And they want to see if anybody laughs because when you're sleep deprived all week, you laugh at all kinds of stupid stuff,
Yep.
but it might not actually be funny. So they do it in front of a live audience to see if they got to rework any of the jokes for the 11:30 live show. I'm telling you all that because they also work on that show literally all week.
Mhm.
It's a job. It's not just
Mhm.
on Saturday night. In fact, it's a 6-day a week job.
Mhm.
They come back on a Monday, and in many cases, the host who's there for the whole show is already in town on Monday. And so they're a part of the writing process. I don't even know who that host was, but point being that what they call the cold open, which means it just goes right to the scene and they start doing it. And then at the end of it, that's the punchline live from New York at Saturday night. That's just as planned as every other skit that they do during the
Mhm.
show. Well, that incident that they covered happened Friday afternoon, the day before.
Mhm.
They've already got that cold open done, written out, the stage, the set
The set
that they
all
do this,
designed and everything
that's
propped
all
up.
built. And let me remind you, that's built by union employees. So to get them to come in and rebuild all of it to whatever we're now going to do, in this case, the Oval Office, that took a lot of work. And that was probably one of the best bits I've seen in a while,
Mhm.
just because of how when they started with that, we were here with my parents and we were watching that, and I interrupted and I said, this is how Saturday Night Live is really in touch with society. It's the political commentary that they do in their bits.
Mhm.
When there were the uh, debates between
Mhm.
Hillary and Barack and all the others back in '08 for the
Mhm.
primaries, we were all looking at each other like, she's being given some tough questions.
Mhm.
And she gets, we don't know any better, but she's given some damn good answers. He's been given some ground balls. He's clubbing them. The flaws. What's going on here? Sure enough, the night we were there with Amy Poehler, or that I was there with Hillary and that Amy Poehler skit, the cold open was a mock-up of a debate, and that's exactly what they did. They asked Amy Poehler's Hillary Clinton some intense question, and she gave a very intelligent and as Hillary Amy Poehler gave a really intelligent answer as her Hillary Clinton. And I don't remember who the Barack Obama was at the time, if it was the one that they caught hell for, the Barack Phobama, where it was a white actor in blackface, because what could happen with that?
Oh gosh.
But he gave some dumbass answer to a softball question, and you see the other cast members pop up with a sign that says applause, And the whole audience starts clapping. So finally, Amy Poehler's character kind of goes, "What the hell? That answer sucked. I gave you an intelligent answer, and you just move on to a follow-up question that's even harder." And you hear this ding, ding, like from Law and Order.
Dum,
Yeah, that whatever musical instrument that
Yeah.
you used to
Yep.
produce that. And from Law and Order, Criminal Intent, Vincent D'Onofrio comes out and gets in Amy Poehler's face. You think this is funny? You think you're enjoying this? Like this is actually like she's actually going through an
This is a
interrogation.
cross-examination.
Yeah, during the course of these debates. So when this thing comes on, just over 24 hours after it happened, I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And it was obviously it's exaggerated. That's what part of what makes it funny. Points that they're making. We all sat here and thought when we watched it on Friday, we watched that live, and we all sat here and thought they're doing this intentionally. They're trying to piss him off because they know you do not behave like that in the Oval Office. The vice president just butting in while the president's speaking. No vice president would ever do that. Not even Biden. And yeah, that was good stuff. But as far as the looks of the three that you see on the screen right now, you know, Trump in the middle of his comment, Vance he's like he's trying to hold back a fart.
Like I totally see a cold open starting like this. The question now becomes who's going to play Speaker Johnson, and I'm looking forward to it.
I think it was the guy. I think it was the guy at the Oscars, Wong, the one cast member, played J.D. Vance.
So,
and
I forgot his name.
His immediate. I think it's something Wong.
Yeah, the Asian guy that plays J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
I know last week they had Mike Myers play Elon Musk, so I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll be back here with it.
He comes out with the transall.
I'm sure he'll be back this weekend. You know.
Yeah. But that look that you see with Mike Myers with Speaker Johnson, that I'm kind of about to fall asleep. I'm pretending that I'm paying attention. I could be doing so much better.
But I also have to weigh the world on me right now.
That's what his face is saying to me.
Like that water cup should not be having water right now for him.
Yeah, because he's going to throw it. But he just has that same disinterested look for Biden, and now clearly for Trump too. And that's what I'm glad to see, at least that consistency. I didn't realize this was the actual speech from last night. I thought this was a news thing. But here's the, and maybe these are, but Trump set speech record while declaring America is back. Yeah, the last one, Trump spoke for about an hour and 40 minutes. Notching the longest address the president has delivered before a joint session of Congress, according to the American Presidency Project at the University of California, Santa Barbara. The longest speech on record previously was held by President Bill Clinton when he spoke for an hour and 28 minutes during the State of the Union address in 2000. That would have been his last one. To my fellow citizens, America is back, Trump declared at the start of his Tuesday speech. 6 weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of the Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the new golden age of America. From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We've accomplished more in fib number one. We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started. Okay. So, I mean, when he makes statements like that are blatantly inaccurate, he has not accomplished more than most administrations do in 4 or 8 years. People believe this.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this okay?
Or is that?
No
Oh,
answer.
I thought you were going down number 2. I
Yeah,
thought you were saying what you were saying and
I'm
then
setting up.
scrolling down. I'm sorry.
I'm I'm setting up for the next
Oh,
one,
okay,
but you
okay.
can jump in. Wow, it's we got to mute Blake, to get him to stop talking. I got to put a stick of dynamite up your ass to get you to start
Please
talking.
don't do that.
We got to get you two together and come to a happy
Please
medium.
don't do that. It's a one way out on that one. Okay, we're not sticking anything, especially things that explode up there.
Even I wouldn't.
Nothing up the middle there.
Even,
okay,
yeah,
please.
Even I wouldn't.
My wife would appreciate it.
None. Yeah. Well, so if these are just the clips, let's see if we can get through.
Thank you very much.
That's long.
It's a great honor. Thank you very much. Speaker Johnson, Vice President Vance, the First Lady of the United States.
One of her rare.
She looked good on this one. There wasn't no fedora hat looking, just, it's just.
And look at that. Yeah, good point. Yeah, exactly. Look at that. A normal outfit as opposed to, I don't know what happened there. A normal outfit. Why is this not? Maybe there. There we go. So that's that one. Sergeant at Arms escorts Rep. Al Green out. Protest with signs.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. You were going
I
to say
was
something?
about to say I did like one particular thing Trump said at the opening, because clearly he's having no punches pulled on this one. This is like, look, I don't have to get reelected. I don't care what you say now. I'm just going full out. He said essentially, like, listen, for the people on the left, clearly there's going to be nothing I can say to you that will get you to agree with me, to applaud, to stand up. Nothing. And
I'm glad you said
that was exactly what played out, essentially, to my surprise.
It's actually 4 minutes to 12. So in our second hour, we'll have the Democratic rebuttal. And you'll see that's not true. But the second thing Fox wants you to take away was the Sergeant at Arms escorts Rep. Al Green out, a Democratic protest with signs. And this is another moment where I think it shows that this was staged. This is the statement that he read: members are engaging in willful and continued speech of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant of Arms to restore order to the joint session. Like you said earlier, be readily available.
Like, how do
it's
you?
Not like he had to look it up in the rule book or something.
To your point, it's right there. Like, it's almost like, okay, this is likely to happen, and it may happen early. So let's go ahead and have this ready to go. And it just makes you think: was this completely spontaneous here, or was there a level of expectancy here to the point of maybe being staged?
Yeah, here's the other thing that I think supports the staged argument. And maybe he knows these people, but even at the end of the event last night, the lady that substitutes for him when there's business on the floor and he's not there, which is 90% of the time, she's the one that's doing everything.
Okay.
How does he know who that is? There's 435 people in that body, and he knows who that dude is. I didn't know who it was. I follow this every day. And so that there again, he knew who was going to be doing it. And that's how he had the name readily available.
I mean, he was ready for his 15 minutes of fame on this one.
Yeah, Mr. Green, take your seat. He said at Green continued shouting and shaking his cane at Trump.
Here's another thing, right? Okay, to your point, out of 435 people, that's a lot of people. Like, maybe Speaker Johnson just knows and has a relationship with Representative Green. But just to automatically be able to go right into Mr. Green, please take your seat.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting that sort of outburst. So I might have to take a second and be like, hold up, Ross? Is that you?
So,
what are you doing?
So here's another reason why I think that was staged. In that, remember earlier in the show, we talked about the arrests that happened, on Pennsylvania Avenue at the White House or on the steps of the Capitol or wherever there's a demo, and how that's planned in advance.
Mm-hmm.
The Capitol Police, or I'm sorry, the Park Police, still, for lack of better terms, go through the motions. Mm-hmm. Legally, there are certain boxes, whether that's staged or not, they're still taking somebody into custody. And so there's boxes that they have to check to include giving the lawful order to disperse.
Mm-hmm.
So an officer, it's a commanding officer, so it's at least a sergeant, if not a lieutenant or a captain that's on scene, will verbally yell to disperse while they're sitting there on Pennsylvania Avenue blocking traffic, which, by the way, is already blocked at 15th Street and 17th Street.
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania Avenue is closed at the White House complex. So I don't know what traffic they're blocking, but they actually give a verbal warning that's a lawful order to disperse.
Mm-hmm.
And this statement read by Mike Johnson, again with the name that he already had, Mr. Green, take your seat, blah blah blah. I was like, that sounded pretty practiced also. And just they're making the point, and I think that's it. The next one's the sign with or the photo with all the signs. They brought these little.
Oh gosh, that's a whole other thing.
Does it kind of remind you of those handheld fans that you take to church?
Yep.
Or to a church picnic. On one side, some of them say Musk steals. Another says safe. False. They hold that up when I guess their arms are getting exercised for that one. And then protect veterans.
Yeah. As if that wouldn't be important that we would share. But, I mean, clearly what came off here too, Ross, I'll say briefly, clearly there was coordination there. You're going to give all these people fans and that sort of thing. Because my thing always
to Kinko's or something to place that over.
My thing has always been with these addresses, State of the Unions, it's like it's completely staged. You know what you're trying to do. The spotlight is on you. Are you standing or are you not? And that's going to come back to you to haunt you or help you. So I already know that sort of orientation about it. I just think that here, passing these fans, I think you had when the president was coming up towards the podium when he was entering, there was one woman that had a sheet of paper that said this is not normal. And it got on TV, and one guy from across the aisle reached over, grabbed it, and then threw it up. Right. And she just sat there not making a movement, just silent still, when that could have clearly been something that you could have gone the blows with right in front of the president.
Well, that's assault.
Right.
Take somebody's property like that.
I thought you were meaning if she reacted as far as going to blows with the guy.
No, right, but it's still assault.
Is it assault if you take something away from someone?
That's force, 100%. Force is for me being in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using force just by standing in a doorway.
Okay.
If I put you in an interrogation room,
mm-hmm.
and you're seated. And maybe I'm seated across from you, but I've got a colleague, my partner, is standing in the doorway. And he or she is standing there like this with their arms folded, looking all tough and pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep telling you, you're free to leave. You don't have to talk to us.
Oh.
But there stands me or my partner or whoever in the doorway, the only doorway, by the way, your only way out. How do you, the Supreme Court has said, doesn't matter what I say. It's how that person in that chair feels.
Yeah, I can see that.
Our actions as a law enforcement community say you're not free to leave.
Because you're in the way.
Right, exactly. Then you're not free to leave. And now I have to read you your rights. You can have a lawyer there, et cetera, et cetera. And so with just removing something like that from another person, that's a use of force. And when it's not legal, like taking somebody it's not
somebody's property, I can see that.
That's simple assault easily.
Yeah, okay. Because in that point too, I'm thinking to myself too, if that person, if she held on to it, if they tussled over it, that could be leading to something worse, as opposed to her just like let it go. But yeah, you're grabbing somebody else's thing and just disposing it the way you did. Like,
yeah. So remember, we said we don't have the buzzers going off. I'm just watching. Where apparently I'm not watching because it's already 5 after 12.
and I'm
We've
still
already
here.
lost. Let's see what's today. We've already lost. We have 99.1 now for the second hour, so they're still with us. But we did lose America One Radio, another Atlanta station that's progressive talk. We lost. We lost K Shop in Las Vegas. They only have us for the first hour. Radio X, I think, is with us still. Sportcat, if you're still with us, go to radiox.com.au and see if we're still on there for me, please. Of course, Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, we still have. And I think WZQR does the whole show all week. Now, last week, I have my iPad here because one of the other things is my phone. And I had my iPad here, and I can't use my phone, so I use my iPad, and I usually have all of the affiliates on that.
Okay.
And during commercials and whatever, while you or the other guys are talking, I'll put an earpiece in and have a listen. But I haven't done that today. But I did discover that WZQR was at that time playing really dead. And I can't bitch because he's here working for free. Yeah. Anyway,
let's see how this exchange goes.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to hear the vibrating, and it's not what you think it is. It's a power tool, but not the power tool I would like to be using right now.
Oh gosh.
ZQR was playing another episode during my time slot, so I think I might need to reach out to them and see what's happening there. But somebody, if somebody can, please go to radiox.com.au and just confirm for me, please, if we're still on the air. And Ken always helps me. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. We're building a community here, and let's continue to do that. I had somebody on Chatter too, but they left us. Anyway, all right. So the other one was
real quick before you go to the next point too.
Yeah.
Is it just me, Ross? I'm curious of your honest opinion.
Go ahead.
Apparently, there were a number of Democratic congressmen and women the day of, I think, that were doing this sort of TikTok video talking about like a coordinated, like, this is false, like refuting what Trump's about to say. You now have, the church fans here that you can put up at any point in time during the joint address. That this is not normal sheet that gets pulled up. Another person had on like a dry erase board, like make sure he pays his own taxes. And even just the point where there was different stories and things shared that you would think, like even before Trump, Democrat or Republican, you had moments where everybody clapped, everybody stood up because there was a unifying effect or unifying appeal to what was being said. And that essentially did not happen at all last night from the other side. It does come off to me. Are the Democrats going to be seen now as like the petty party?
No, I don't
during
think
this
so.
time?
We talked last Friday about how the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee support the major candidates throughout primaries and major elections and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that happens is candidates select a consultant that's paid by the campaign to say, here's what you need to do to get yourself elected. And part of what they all talk about, when there's a major a vote on the floor, nobody says to their party, vote your conscience. It's here's what we're going to vote. Here's how we're going to vote. And that's why so many of the, in my opinion, unqualified members of his cabinet got confirmed, because most people were down party lines.
Mm-hmm.
Also with certain bills, like the budget bill that was recently passed and so on, very few people from the Republican Party stepped up and voted against or spoke out against. That's because those consultants are saying, here's your message, everybody got to toe the line. And Matt Deemer sent me just yesterday, I think, that very example of who was it? Schumer, Jeffries, and I think Liz Warren were all essentially delivering the same message on their social media. And he was saying, this is from the consultant. And if you do not toe that line, you lose committee funding, RNC funding. So
sounds like kind of a puppet deal.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And that's universal on both ends, especially now. I mean, there's things that are like or dislike. I'm not opposed to cutting waste or fraud or too much unnecessary redundancy. I'm opposed to the elimination and disregard for due process, and not just from a legal perspective, but a practical one. If any CEO cut somebody like nuclear physicists that are in charge of a nuclear arsenal and then realized, oh, shit, we should have kept them, and then has to go around and hire them back, no board of directors would ever accept that type of behavior. They'd be fired on the spot. And Musk has done that 3 times and made other firings ruled by courts, which I knew right away when they happened, that were illegal. Some of the people that were fired were not people that the president has the authority to fire. And that's by design. So this doesn't happen. So, but hopefully that answers your question. Yes.
But all in all, it sounds like the Democrats you find aren't seen as like the petty party, the resistance. Like,
no, and that's where we're going to get to in this hour is the rebuttal.
Okay.
Where did you get a chance to watch that at all?
I was tired.
Yeah, and that's going back to what we were talking about earlier. I think that's a bad time to try to get that, because after an hour and a half, everybody's tired, regardless of the time of day. It's not like you can do this on a Saturday and do it in the afternoon so that nobody's going to bed right after the address, and give time for the other side. An hour and a half is still an hour and a half, regardless of the time of day, and it's time to take a break.
Which is good from the standpoint, if I was Trump, and maybe this plays a role here, right? Could you look at it as a strategic move to run out the clock, essentially? Like, people give him a hard time about being long-winded and his speeches being long. Could it have been a move to say, listen, I'm going to stretch this thing for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, because what that's going to do is, who's going to stick around afterwards to hear what the Democrats have to say afterwards?
Right. And that's why I think it's better to have that pre-recorded, and that as the president's wrapping up, and okay, regardless of which, but not just President Trump now, but President Biden prior and President whoever afterwards, as that person is wrapping up, okay, it's the speech they told us they were going to give.
Mm-hmm.
Our predetermined rebuttal is still effective. Boom, launch it.
Now, here's what I would love to see them do.
Flood social media with the rebuttal so that it's already out there as the speech is concluding. So while the story of the speech concluding is now the big story, the rebuttal is now automatically and immediately just as big of a story.
Now, here's what I'm thinking. Can you actually have the rebuttal before the speech happens? Like, can you actually just preempt it and say, hey, listen, our opponent, the president, is going to probably talk to you about X, Y, Z here. And here's why we think it's wrong. And you get in front of it before the address.
I think that's what that coordinated attack from Schumer, Warren.
What that was meant to do when all the 20 of them were doing the whole TikTok thing?
Yeah, I think that's what that was. And it's not, I didn't see them other than Matt's post that he forwarded to us in the chat. I'm going to, for the reasons I said, I'm going to guess that they're not going to specifically call out this address in their preemptive response.
Okay.
For fear of him switching it up.
Yep.
They're just going to say that was just a more generic, the president has been or will continue to make these points and arguments. Here's why we are against. And that's what, that is what, let me find the tab here. Here we go. Elisa Slotkin of Michigan was the senator that gave the rebuttal. I mean, this lady is like former CIA, National Security Council. She's been around. She kind of knows what she's talking about. And the critiques of her rebuttal is that her effort was, let's see, Fox is saying the usual, Democratic Senator blasts Trump's foreign policy. Reuters is saying Democratic Senator Slotkin reaches for political center in rebuttal. Swing state Senator Slotkin takes on Trump and Democrats' rebuttal. Senator Lee Slotkin gives Democrat response to Trump's speech. One of these, it might be a sub title or a secondary, title. Something about how she was trying to be unifying.
Okay.
Divisiveness, and as much as I'm sure he's trying to unify his base. You've seen like Biden's done it. W has done it. Probably Obama has done it. There have been shots fired at the other side, but a little bit more subtle. Not as offensive.
Yeah.
Not as by the numerous times he called out the Biden administration by name is unprecedented. You don't do that. Obama didn't call out the Bush administration by my predecessor or the Bush administration sucks or, stuff like that. It's not something a president does.
Yeah, Trump was definitely poking. He definitely was poking for a reaction.
Before, too. He did that in his inaugural address this year.
Yep.
He did
no punches.
In Trump 1.0. And it's just not there's a certain, like Speaker Johnson said with regard to Al Green's behavior, that's free speech, but there's also a certain level of decorum, that Al Green needs to adhere to, that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Bobo need to adhere to. You've got your platforms. You've got your opportunities to say and to do your own rebuttals in addition to the one selected by your party. So, and there's people like who technically are independent, like Bernie Johnson or Bernie
Sanders.
Who does his own rebuttals.
He does, yeah.
And he's probably some of the best ones as far as educated and useful information and good takeaways. I think he's probably some of the best ones. So this is another, yes, these women were killed by illegal aliens. Trump honors young women killed by illegal immigrants.
Which
Yeah.
clearly still was a divided house when he shared what he was doing in light of what was happening.
Nobody is denying the tragedy and unfortunate situation of Laken Riley or Jocelyn Ungary.
Mm-hmm.
What they're disputing is the mathematics that Trump is trying to push.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the murders in the country are done by illegal aliens. And every illegal alien is a murderer and a rapist and all the other stupid things he said about them.
Mm-hmm.
What about the people at the construction sites that are around our state
Mm-hmm.
that are now empty, not even because of Trump's policies, but Ron DeSantis,
Mm-hmm.
who was also, prior to Trump, cracking down on illegal immigration.
Mm-hmm.
These construction sites were empty. These labor positions were gone, and nothing was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I've worked that. I know what the guy next door is getting paid by my neighbor. Nobody is stealing that job for that amount of pay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, while absolutely the women that were killed should not have been killed, it's a tragedy, and President Trump was right to honor them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not okay, I don't think, to use their name to push his false narrative. That's disrespectful.
The false narrative as far as to crack
number.
down on the illegal immigrants that could have caught.
I'm not opposed to cracking down and tightening the borders.
Right.
But
I'm just trying to better understand.
The numbers that when he said all illegal immigrants are murderers and rapists, not even close to true. Who is going to cross the Rio Grande, an alligator and snake infested river that they're probably going to drown in?
Yeah.
To come here and rape somebody? Or are they trying to find a better life?
For the most part, I want to believe, to your point, they're looking for a better life. I think one of the questions becomes, if you do have a lot of people, not all, that have checkered past, what happened?
Neil Thompson says we're getting stuck in the weeds of the speech and media logistics. Yeah, I did want to kind of start moving on, but stay with us.
Hey, we're talking about the speech that happened last night. I'm just talking about this.
Bernie had walked out and went to his YouTube page to talk about the address. Did he walk out before it was over?
I don't remember seeing that. I saw a few people walk out before, but I don't remember seeing Bernie do it.
That. Yeah, that there were some people that left and said, I'm going to a bar. And I agree. It's not a rebuttal if they go first. Yeah, it's
like preemptive strike.
Yeah, well, Congress is very traditional.
Yeah.
Like clearly we've got the technology that members could vote from wherever they're at in the world.
Yep.
But they have to be present on the floor to cast their vote,
which is smart.
And from a another potential of hacking perspective, that's also, I think, the right move. But it's also just traditional. There could be a closed circuit from their office where they could vote from their office.
But why not just be present? Like, if you're going to vote on something, like, be there.
Well, and that's the thing. When I was on Hillary Clinton's detail back in 2007 and 2008, there were plenty of times where we would leave her house 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, go to the Hill for some early morning votes, and then by 8:30, 9 o'clock, we were at Reagan Airport, traveling the country, hitting 5 cities a day. Yes, Sanders did walk out before it was over. Way to go, Bernie. Give us something to talk about, because we don't have enough, apparently. So,
I mean, what, you leave someone's speech before they finish? I mean, that doesn't sound very decorum. Like, you just why don't you wait till they finish? You're there for a reason. Why not wait till the end?
They have it already. He knows what's going to be said.
But I do think that absolutely there's some strategy played here. I was about to say strategery.
Yeah, we can call it that.
There,
Strategery.
there was definitely some strategy played into this where it's just like, listen, knowing that you're not likely to stand on anything, I'm gonna throw as much stuff that feeds my base, feeds my party, but also stuff that can come off as more of it should be more shared as a whole by the nation. And I did notice this from the network I was watching. There were a number of heartwarming.
You can say it.
Okay,
From
Fox. Fox News.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. I watched it from Fox News. Absolutely. There were a number of stories I thought surely if it was Obama talking about this, if this was Bush the second talking about this, it would have been a rousing standing ovation across both aisles, right? In full support, like a national unity moment.
Such as which?
I mean, clearly the one they're talking about more than anything else is DJ. The kid that was dealing with brain cancer.
The cop?
Wanted to be a cop, police officer. And then President Trump talks about they're going to make him an honorary Secret Service agent.
Yeah.
And clearly the network I was watching at Fox News, for some reason, I was like, please show the sides. Please show the sides during this. I want to see if they all stand up for this. And they didn't. But I was trying to piece that together, that if they didn't show the left still sitting down, which they did for some other stories that were more unifying, it does put you in a bad semantic look across the country.
Do you think Fox didn't show that because maybe they were standing?
Ooh, I would think they've been fair to do that for previous presidents. But I think the question that comes off top of mind for me is, did they actually stand and applaud for it?
Tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming an officer.
All right, so why does that do that? I tried to
pause it,
freeze it so that you can see the pin that's on. That's actually one of the congressional pins. I doubt he's going to keep it.
Okay.
Maybe. Oh, you know what that is? No, I'll tell you what that is. Let's see if we can. That green pin right there.
Yep.
The green pin on his collar. That's called a hard pin because it's actually a piece of jewelry, and it's guest. He's a guest of the president. That's what that pin means.
Yep.
So he has to wear that.
Okay. Just to signify.
Okay. Somewhere on them, or they've got a indicating that they're either staff, which is another pin. Members of Congress have a pin identifying them as a protectee. The spouses of a member have pins identifying them as a spouse of a member of Congress. And then other technical and law enforcement and so on, we all have our own pin. And that's what that green one is. Look at the background. Did you see that?
So here was where I was trying to tell you couldn't see the full spectrum. You're trying to look over it. Like if you pause it, right? Pause it on there. I'm trying to read over heads to see if they're on the same level. It didn't look like that, like they were standing. The left was standing on that one.
Yeah, no, I don't think they were. Which I think,
and I think the other story
that I think we can all get behind.
And the other story that came up top of mind for me, in addition to DJ, I think DJ was the one, hands down, everyone should have been very much unified supporting, right? Yeah. He's going through freaking cancer, dude, at his age, right?
Right.
The other story that came up top of mind for me was the high school kid that was wanting to serve. And President Trump said, hey, listen, I got word you got accepted to West Point. And the moment where he was hugging his mother.
Oh, was that the
that was another moment.
the Hispanic kid lost his dad? I think.
I guess he was. I was trying to tell. I couldn't tell exactly what he was just from appearance, but it might have been. But it was a high school student.
Definitely a little older than this kid.
Definitely.
A little older.
No, and so even to that point, when he got the word he got into West Point, he hugged his mother, and DJ, the kid, they showed it, walked down to give him a high five.
Oh, cool. Nice.
For getting accepted at West Point. Like that to me was like, I mean, I was pretty much tired, but it almost made me reach for some Kleenex at that point when I saw what was going on there. That was pretty touching.
That guy on the right, with the nose that looks like Adrian Brody, that is the new director of the Secret Service. He's the guy, if he looks familiar, he's in the photo of the stage photo from Butler, Pennsylvania. He's the agent that's behind Trump, pushing them off stage and to the side and whatever. He's now the director of the Secret Service. But look at that kid. 13 years old. I could not grow a mustache like that. I got 40 years on him.
I mean, like, I don't know what he was on during treatment.
Oh, you think that has
to your point? I don't know if it does, but you clearly saw like the scar.
Oh, yeah,
on his
I see
head.
that. But I mean, on the upper lip, dude's got one hell of a smash for 13 years old.
Like puberty didn't do that for me at 13. I can tell you that. So I don't know if it was that
at 53.
I was like, hold up, are we sure he's 13?
So he's walking in at the beginning of the event, you know, right behind the first lady and everybody. And my mom goes, "Who's that guy?" And, you know, she sees his size compared to everybody else.
She's like, no, it's Gary Coleman. That's
exactly. He's in a police uniform. So she thinks he's a cop. And it turns out, you know, it's like an explorer or whatever. But yeah, I thought that was. It turns out he's a 13-year-old kid, and now, I mean, that looks, you know, that's I don't know what the big letter on, but the top of it. Let's see if there we go. This part is Department of Homeland Security is what that really heavy stuff would say, and then United States Secret Service. And the name is that, you know, name, blah, blah, blah. And this whole thing, you know, says is authorized to carry firearms, to execute warrants, and is worthy of trust and confidence is what essentially what that says. And then that's the star right there. The photo, that's your signature underneath it. And the director's signature is over here on the left.
Nice. That was nice.
So, yeah. So that's Fox News' take. We got about a half an hour left. I'm going to take a quick break, and we come back where I'll put the other links. It's real quick. I'll go down. Well, I'll put all the other links in the show notes. There's 6 takeaways from Trump's pointedly partisan address to Congress. That's according to NPR. Of course, we can't talk about Fox and not put Rachel Maddow out there. Trump's address to Congress was built on a foundation of lies. That's according to MSNBC. CNN says Trump's 2025 joint session address fact-checked and annotated. So that's kind of an important one. I might get into that tomorrow, but I'll definitely include this in today's show notes. And then we showed this one earlier. This is Al Green, about Al Green and his early exit. But who is Elisa Slotkin, the Democrat who responded to the Trump speech, and some other things about, well, actually, it's a 10-minute thing. So let me get to this break, and we'll give you that right after this. You're listening or watching Up the Middle. Thanks for getting off the porch and running with the big dogs. We'll be back after this. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training, a dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum. Sorry for the extended music there. Oh, and I messed my hair up. I had to run to the bathroom. I had to whiz. And I knew the Momentum Fitness and Wellness commercial was not going to be long enough. So I just threw some music on. We're back. Time to talk about the other side. And you gotta run too quick and do a bathroom break, or are you going to make it for the remaining 25 minutes?
No, I'm good to go.
Oh, hold on. I lowered the music on. There we go. You good? You gonna make it? You gonna be all right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, where are we at? There we go. Is that? There we go. So, who is Elisa Slotkin, a Democrat who responded to Trump's speech? Elisa Slotkin, a U.S. Democrat, gave her party's response to Trump's congressional address, taking the new Trump administration to task for bringing with it chaos and recklessness. Early in her remarks, she attacked the White House on the economy and warned that if Trump was not careful, he could walk us right into a recession. Slotkin also took a shot at the Department of Government Efficiency, the cost-cutting project led by Elon Musk, saying change is needed, but doesn't need to be chaotic or make us less safe. Speaking for Michigan before a backdrop of U.S. flags, Slotkin was much more concise and much less animated than the president, who regaled Republicans on the House floor for an hour and 40 minutes. She made a quick reference to Democrats' stinging election defeat in November, but then quickly pivoted to Trump. Americans made it clear that prices are too high and that government needs to be more responsive to their needs. America wants change. But there's a responsible way to make change and a reckless way. And we can make that change without forgetting who we are as a country and as a democracy. Throughout the election, voters frequently said the economy was their number one concern, and Democrats' defeat was blamed on not addressing it sufficiently. Weeks into Trump's presidency, economic concerns remain high, as prices of a number of goods have not dropped, and prices on some items, like eggs, have risen. Grocery and home prices are going up, not down. and he hasn't laid out a credible plan to deal with either. Slotkin also talked about immigration, another topic where Democrats poll worse than Republicans, highlighting a lack of empathy by the Trump administration toward undocumented immigrants. The border without actually fixing that sounds a little wordy. The border without actually fixing a broken immigration system is dealing with the symptom, not the disease. America is a nation of immigrants. She cited the public berating of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Friday during a meeting with Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance as well. The scene in the Oval Office wasn't a bad episode of reality TV. It wasn't just a bad episode of reality TV. It summed up Trump's whole approach to the world. He believes in cozying up to dictators like Vladimir Putin and kicking our friends like Canada in the teeth. For many, Tuesday night was their first time meeting Slotkin, who won the U.S. Senate seat in a swing state of Michigan last year. A former Central Intelligence Agency analyst, Slotkin became the youngest Democratic woman elected in the Senate at 48 when she won her seat in a state that former Vice President Kamala Harris lost last November. Slotkin gave her speech after Trump's, which is not a traditional State of the Union address, but was expected to serve the same purpose. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer called Slotkin a rising star in the party last week as he announced her as the pick to provide the Democratic Party's rebuttal. As he announced in the party last week, as he announced her to pick the Democrats' pick. Last week. So they knew this was all going to happen last night, well in advance. He said she was great on both economic and national security topics. Slotkin is new to the Senate, but she served in Congress as a member of Michigan's delegation to the House of Representatives. She was first elected in the Democrats' 2018 wave of success, flipping a Republican seat. Prior to a political career, she held a variety of government jobs. She held national security positions in President George W. Bush and Barack Obama's administrations. She served in Bush's National Security Council, and under Obama, she served as acting Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs in the State Department. The CIA recruited Slotkin, who is fluent in Arabic and Swahili, shortly after she earned a graduate degree in international affairs at Columbia University in New York City. She served 3 tours in Iraq as a CIA analyst. The moderate Democrat focused her 2024 Senate campaign on lowering costs for Americans, a move that helped propel her to a narrow victory over former Congressman Mike Rogers, even as Trump won the state. Slotkin is a member of the Committees on Armed Forces, Homeland Security, and Government Affairs, Agriculture, Nutrition and Forestry, and Veterans Affairs. So that's her. What do we got? 41. That's only a minute and 20 seconds. She's longer than that. This might be it. Let's see what Fox has. Maybe Fox to the rescue.
Well, there you go.
Dun, da, da, da.
Alyssa Slotkin is ready to give the Democratic response. Let's turn it over to her.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alyssa Slotkin. I'm honored to have the opportunity to speak tonight. It's late, so I promise to be a lot shorter than what you just watched. I won't take it personally if you've never heard of me. I'm the new senator from the great state of Michigan, where I grew up. I've been in public service my entire life because I happened to be in New York City on 9/11 when the Twin Towers came down. Before the smoke cleared, I knew I wanted to make a life in national security. I was recruited by the CIA and did 3 tours in Iraq alongside the military. In between, I worked at the White House under President Bush and President Obama, 2 very different leaders who both believed that it was exceptional. You can find that same sense of patriotism here in Wyandotte, Michigan, where I'm speaking from tonight. It's a working class town just south of Detroit. President Trump and I both won here in November. It might not seem like it, but plenty of places like this still exist across the United States. Places where people believe that if you work hard and play by the rules, you should do well and your kids should you qualify as engaged citizens. And I promise that I and my fellow Democrats will do everything in our power to be the principled leaders that you deserve. Good night, everyone.
All right. Well, superfan Ken has been updating us. Apparently, that does not make it out to many of these social media platforms. The video, but
And that about sums it up.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of nothing. And then good night, everyone.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that was, I played that. So this is through, we're streaming through, which one is that? One of the web browsers that, really doesn't matter because it's not it's just strong enough to handle streaming. But that was through Chrome, and that should not have had that issue. But thanks for that, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
As always, I will put the links to everything that we've talked about today, and even stuff that we did not get to, in the chat, or not. Excuse me, in the show notes. There we go. But I gotta, and so audio is back on Facebook. Audio is back on YouTube. For those still with us, thanks for staying with us. If you haven't seen that yet, I can actually put that in now, so you can watch it right after the show. But in the chat, here comes the link to the video I just played, which was the Fox News reporting on the Democratic rebuttal. In the, what do we got? About 5 minutes left before I got to do the plugs and stuff. I did get this as a takeaway just the first time I watched it, and that was more of a bipartisan effort that we all, you, me, the guys on Friday, Jane on Monday, we've all said has long since been lost. And it's not just because of Trump. It was much more us versus them way before Trump came on the scene. I just think it's more prevalent now and more in everybody's face. Do you think what did you get as a Trump supporter? Any positivity from that at all? Be honest.
From Senator Slotkin.
Could you hear it? Like,
no,
you didn't hear it?
Like I was halfway joking, halfway realistic. Like I literally could not hear 90% of it until it popped up in the end and said, "Good night, everyone."
Oh, well, you know what? You were backstage. Did you put yourself backstage? Did you shut your camera off?
So what happened was some connection happened. I didn't see you. I just saw me on screen. So I was like, I don't want people just looking at me just staring. So I took me off the screen. And then it's like, hey, join the room again. And I was like, all right, I'll try that.
Yeah.
And then that's where I saw Senator Slotkin talking, but I was in backstage.
Yeah. Well, I just said, let's focus on this. I took myself backstage too. And we just played that. But I don't know if it's because of it's a copyright issue.
Oh, do you think it just automatically happened?
That's what I'm wondering, because I listened on my iPad when Ken told us that. And I couldn't get it either. I didn't go to YouTube. I just did the Facebook thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't understand why this would happen. But so I'm probably going to have to edit it out of like YouTube and whatever else. And I'll just take it down off Facebook and relaunch an edited version. But yeah, I got unity from it. And in the chat is the Fox News link to the rebuttal, which I guess they're calling the Democratic response, because technically this is not a State of the Union, so it's not technically a rebuttal. But I mean, what else is it? It's a rebuttal. I got the unity from it too earlier when I saw it for the first time. I also noticed myself, and I'm glad she pointed it out. And that's why the title of today's episode it is a State of the Union is in quotes, because it's like basically this is what a State of the Union is like, especially for Trump. But I never got any, here's what we're going to do to make things better. It's just a continual, here's how things are awesome because I say so.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that come up top of mind for me that he said where things were showing progress, moving America forward and that sort of stuff beyond just the somewhat silly stuff for some people may talk about like Gulf of America and that sort of thing. I think when he mentioned like the Doge findings, if you take out even the pan to Elon Musk, like just showing people here's what we found, like given transparency, that we're spending money on things that we probably shouldn't do, which could help us to reduce the deficit or return back to citizens to help. You know, like that sort of progress report is helpful. I think the border encounters was also helpful too, like the significant drops in February alone compared to this time last year was significant, just to give people a sense of this is what we've done and this should be helpful and helping people be more safe about it. So, you know.
Yeah. I just think there were certain levels of productivity during Biden that was ignored. And now it is getting worse. You know, prices of eggs are not going down, and that's just one benchmark. My biggest question is, and we don't have enough time to deal with it today, and I'll ask you, give you something to research for next week, so you're not blindsided as you usually are. He's constantly being told by everybody else, maybe not his own people, but he's constantly being told that tariffs are not paid by other countries and that it's going to cause additional inflation. For next week, I want you to be able to tell me how that's wrong. Or if you agree with what I'm saying, fine. But give us, as Trump translator, give us why he's doing it anyway.
I'll take that as my homework assignment, and we can have a follow-up conversation about that next week.
Ken's right. Have a good day. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Up next on Radio X, WZQR and Yerg's Radio is Sportcat's Daily Gazette. He's got the news and all kinds of weather, national, global, all kinds of really good stuff for about a 60 to 90 minute show. That's it for us. Thanks for getting off the porch and running with the big dogs. I'm Yergs. This has been me and Philip Blackett. We will both see you again next week. I will see you tomorrow. See you again.